Hi everyone, good afternoon and welcome to the How to Craft Network channel. My name is Claire Manning from Thirsty Brush and I'm back today with another crafty video for you. It's great to see so many of you joining in live. Let's have a look who we've got. Tracy, Nola, Irene, Karen, Enid, Susan, Jill, May, Bridget, and anyone else I've missed. It's going a bit quick now. I know everybody's joining in. Cleo's there with Karen as well. Hi, Cleo. So I must say again, thank you so much for tuning in to the Create and Craft show of my happy hour launch on Monday. It was so much fun. It was great to have two shows and a stunning success again. So I'm really pleased that you all liked the designs as much as I did when I was enjoying drawing them for you and putting that collection together. Loads more to come from Thirsty Brush. One of the things we mentioned on the live shows was that I'm going to be doing an online watercolour painting class. So it's through Craftopia, which is normally an event that happens through Create and Craft where you have in-person classes. Obviously with COVID at the moment, they're still doing it, but we're doing it as online. So look out through Create and Craft on their website and on their live shows because there will be details about how to buy tickets for that. So how it will work roughly, and I'll give you more detail close to the time, but how it will work is you'll buy a ticket. You'll also have the opportunity to buy a kit of paints, papers, watercolour paper, that kind of thing that you need if you haven't got those things at home. And then you'll have a ticket for the day and it's about 2 hours and I will be able to show you how to create a full piece of art from scratch. So I wanted to give you just like a little bit of a taster of that. Some of you have followed me and my watercolour videos on my own channel, Claire Manning Craft, or anything that I've done here or demonstrated on Create and Craft. And I know that lots of you feel like watercolour painting, it's one thing to do it on a stamped image and just do a little wash of colour and make that look great, but it's another thing entirely you feel to do a freehand piece from scratch, make it look beautiful and either be able to use it as a piece of art or on a card. So I thought I'd just be like, give you a little hint of it. So it's not the same project that I'm going to be doing on the class. So that will be an exclusive project to Craftopia. And as I say, it will be a lot longer. So we'll do it from scratch and we'll do all the techniques as well at the start of it. But I just wanted to go through a couple of little bits. And we're going to make a little card today. One thing that's great about small cards is if you're worried about doing some freehand watercolour, the smaller the piece of card you're using, the less you can mess it up. But if you can get used to doing some smaller images, and this is, I'm going to use an A6 card, got a little black one here, and some craft card, and then I've cut a piece of Tony's watercolour Carter card to fit that. So that's going to be my main one. I also always, when I'm doing watercolour on a card and creating like a floral image or anything else, is have another piece that, you know, you could even use the back of an old piece or something like that, but just to start off with. So that's one of the tips I would say to you straight away if you're planning on doing any watercolouring on your cards. Just before I start, Susan's got a question. Do you stock navy card? I've noticed you use it sometimes in your demos. I think Tony has some on her website that are card blanks. The navy card that I use, I'm trying to think where I got it from now. I'll check out, Susan, I'll have a look in my studio where I get it from. It's not a Thirsty Brush one. I'll tell you which one it is when I get back later today. Don't forget as well, if you enjoy crafty videos, do give this video a thumbs up, give us a like and subscribe below, hitting the bell, and you will be notified of all our videos as soon as we upload them or when we go live. So I've got my Thirsty Brush palette. Lots of you have got this already. You can use any watercolours that you've got. I'm mainly going to be using yellows and greens today, so we'll talk about colour mixing a little bit as well, but I've just done two slightly different shades of yellow there. I'm going to use two smallish brushes. I've got a size 5 and a 1 here. There's no real rule. If you want to make this card bigger, just up the size of your brushes a little bit. So just to go through the colours, this one here I've used just the yellow that's in the palette, and then this one I've used the yellow and a little bit of orange, and that one is just the orange on its own. But I really wanted to talk about mixing greens with watercolour. So the greens that come in palettes, and you know, I love my palette and they're all very similar, the greens that you get in any kind of watercolours. It's very rare to get kind of muted greens. So that's the lighter one and that's the darker one. And can you see they're beautiful bright colours, but sometimes if you want it to look a little bit more realistic to the greens that are out there, either maybe it's autumn and they're starting to go a little bit browner, or you just feel it's too bright for your particular image and you want it to look more natural, just add in either or of these browns. So this one's ochre. And can you see how straight away that just dulls it down a little bit? The more you add, the more muted it will become. Let's try a bit of brown in this green one and see you get those lovely kind of deep, more natural greeny browns then. So have a play around. Yellow as well, if you want those beautiful kind of early summer leaves where they're going really yellowy, you can mix those in as well. But the best thing to do is try them, have a look on your piece of scrap, mix up your colours and get them ready before, so then you can decide, yeah, those are the shades I want. Okay, so I'm going to practice on this sheet first, and I'm going to use this yellowy orangey one and just mix a bit more up. So I've got plenty. What I don't like to do as well is have to worry too much about going back and mixing more throughout my project, because I'll never get the same shade again if I want it to all be the same shade. So my little flowers are going to be almost a bit like cowslip. So I'm going to do 3 little petals. And let me show you. So I go round, round again. That will create 1 little petal. And then to the side, I'm going to do it with a bigger brush in a second as well, so you can see it in more detail. And then round again. But I'm not really colouring in the centre. I hope you can see that. The yellow's quite bright, isn't it, with the lights? Let me do that again, a little bit bigger. And I'll do it with the orange on my scrap piece so you can see. So this is the shape I'm doing of the petal. And I'm doing them next to each other to create almost like a little section of buds. Can you see that? So that's the kind of first main shape. And then what I would do is keep this piece of card aside, because then when you go on to the next stage, you can practice that shape and skill before you put it on your paper. And that's sometimes the most daunting bit of starting off with your main piece of card and thinking, oh my gosh, I'm scared to put anything down on there in case I mess it up. That kind of practicing on bits of card just gets you loosened up and gets you thinking about the shapes and the colours. Lindsay, any idea where your white paint will be back in stock? It is on the way, Lindsay. I know so many of you are waiting for it, and thank you for your patience, but it is on the way. It's on a boat somewhere. Hopefully not in the Suez Canal, but it definitely has been ordered and is on the way. So think about on my card where I want the flowers to be. So I tend to like things coming off the side. So I'm going to go the right hand bottom corner here, and I'm going to put about 3, 4 or 5 maybe of these little bundles of petals. So I'm just dipping back into that yellowy orange and doing them in clusters of 3. Hi, anyone joining now? And don't worry if they're starting to go off the page, that makes it look even more natural. Vary as well a little bit the angle that they're at. Although if they're all kind of slightly in the same way, it kind of looks as if the wind's blowing them a little bit, which is quite nice. So little cowslips. Now before they're completely dry, I'm going to add in some of this orange and just dab it into the base. It's important to do this before they're completely dry. So that orange, can you see it's starting to bleed just a little bit? And that gives it its kind of centerpiece, if you like. If you notice that your paint, the shine has gone off it, you've taken too long and it won't go. So you can add a center on, but don't expect it to blend. Make it a purposeful piece. So let me show you what I mean by that. So these ones here are too dry now for the orange to blend. So I would maybe do, oh, it is slightly still wet, but I would maybe do purposeful dots or something like that rather than the little blended area if it's too dry. Okay. Let's go with, oh, May's got to go, has she? Catch up. And Joe's making lasagna. We're having lasagna tomorrow. So I'm going to swap to the smaller brush for the stems of these little flowers. So do you remember I said about keeping the card aside? What I find when I'm doing petals is it's a different amount of pressure on my brush when you're doing that kind of downstroke and then bringing it up to make your petal. When I do stamens or stalks, what I don't want to do is something heavy like that, unless it's a really loose and the flowers are very big. When they're tiny little flowers like this, you want a real thin stalk and sometimes even kind of broken a little bit. So this is where I've gone to my little #1 brush. Make that green a little bit darker so you can see it a little bit better. So again, I just did the lighter green and some brown. So I almost kind of practice the movement with my hand before even going down as far as the paper, and then just do really light little strokes. And I feel like that sometimes gives almost some movement in that stalk. So what we want to do is add that kind of feeling onto the bottom here. I'm also going to add a tiny bit of, what's the bit called where it meets the bottom of the flower and it goes a bit like that. I don't know. I should know what the name is, shouldn't I? And then take it down. I'm sure it's got a name. It's almost like a little V. And then I'm bringing the stems down. And I'm varying again. If they tuck behind the flower, that's fine. Little V. And then the stem. Little V again. And the stem. What I'm also going to do is have some extra stems that I can put some more leaves. I'm going to go up with these at different angles from the main stems. And I have no idea what kind of leaves cowslips have, if they have any, but we're just going to make some shapes up whatever we feel like goes with the design. Okay. So same colour again. I'll try it with this small brush. I don't know whether I'm going to get my leaves big enough. This small one, I can always swap. And then with the leaves, oh yes, let's go back to our scrap to practice. So rather than guessing. So leaves, you just want a standard leaf hover your brush over, start at the tip, and then press down and up, down and up. And you can vary the length of them by pressing down for longer. I think they'll be about the right size, actually. I was thinking they might be a bit small and I'd go back up to my number 5 brush, but that's fine. So the green and the brown, and let's go here first. So we'll do some right on the tips. In fact, I find it easier sometimes to do my leaves towards me rather than away from me, but that's just a personal preference. My flowers are dry, so I shouldn't do much smudging or anything of those. And I'm just kind of doing this by eye and filling in gaps of where I feel like I want the leaves to be. They can come off on the side of the page and get a nice fine point with this really small brush. I feel like varying the angle is giving me that real, they're kind of blowing in the wind kind of look. And overlap the flowers as well a little bit if you want. There are no rules for it. Another little one coming off the page. And I think I'm kind of happy with that for the watercolour. I don't feel like it needs much more. And what's really great about doing them this size is, one, like I say, it's really quick and you don't need much on your paper to fill up the space. Don't be scared of leaving some of it small. And I really love, one of my favourite things to do with small cards is make a bunch of them, say half a dozen, slight variations. So you could do different colours of your flowers or them coming from different directions, different sentiments on, and then you could bundle them together with a little bit of string or ribbon and give them as a really nice gift with the envelopes. So it's like, little notelets or note cards, exactly. So let's pop a little sentiment on it and then we'll glue it together. I'm just going to very quickly, I think that's almost dry now, but just so I don't smudge it when I stamp on my sentiment. Hi, anyone else joining? Hi, Gemma's here from my design team as well. No nails, no jam. Yes, did you hear me say on Create and Craft, I said I hate having the big long nails. They like you to have, neutral nails and the manicured and things like that. They were stick-on ones. I hadn't had them done gel. I haven't been into a nail salon since we went into the first lockdown. Gel ones I don't mind, but those are stick-on. And as soon, as soon as I walked out the studio, one of them popped off. So I just pulled them all off and that was it. So this is a sentiment from, I can't remember what this was called. It was like a tree design. Can't remember. A while ago, and one of the sellout ones anyway. And I've just picked out the Dream Big, but you can put any sentiment you like. Like I say, if you've got a set of sentiments and you make half a dozen cards, you could put a different sentiment on each one. Does anyone happen to know what size the Pretty Penny dies are? Oh, Susan will find out for you. Nathan's just going to have a look, I think. Is it one that's on offer today? Nails look lovely. Yes, it just literally as I walked out the studio, Nolo, the thumb one just went flying. And I thought, wow, that was good timing. It didn't happen in the live show. So I need to go back and have them done properly with the gel. And then they last a long time, don't they? So just stamp the dream big across there. And let's just pop that onto this little note card. Long nails and crafting don't go together. Absolutely, Jan, they do not. Well, not for me anyway. Some people seem to be able to do it, but not me. So just a bit of glue to hold that in place. So if you're thinking about joining in on the Craftopia class, then yeah, if you want to get ahead and be a SWAT and do a bit of practice first, then get your little watercolour palette out and maybe have a go at something like this. Like I say, the actual project will be a bigger piece. You will be able to develop your skills even more. But the first hurdle to get over surely is just getting it out and having a go and having the motivation to just try it freehand a little bit rather than just colouring in your stamps. That's taking it to the next level, isn't it? But I hope you enjoyed it and it's given you maybe a little bit of confidence. That was the word I was looking for. So the actual class will be end of June. I think it might be the 27th, but don't hold me on that in case it gets changed. Tickets will go on sale very soon. I don't know the exact date, Joe, but keep an eye. I will obviously let you know on our groups and everything as well, but it will be all on advertised on Create and Craft too. And it's the first time I've done something like this for Create and Craft, so it's really exciting for me as well. And I'm really hoping, you know, that we get to do something really beautiful together and inspire you. Thanks so much for joining me, guys. Oh, let me just step out the way so we can get a photo of that little note card. So really clean and simple. Something to practice. I didn't want to overwhelm with loads of things on a nice freehand card like that. And I will see you, what day is it today? Thursday. I will be back at 1 p.m. on Sunday for another pre-recorded show, but do say hi in the comments because I will be there live to answer any questions. Take care, guys. Lovely to see you. See you next time.